welcome to Grow Mama Grow University. We are so excited that you have chosen to take this step in your path to becoming a better mom because here at Brown Mamas Grow Mama Grow University, we believe that making moms better moms makes dads better dads, children become better adults, and ultimately communities become better communities. This Brown Mama Mindset course is a course for chapter 1 of the Brown Mama Mindset Time Race. Just want to say congratulations because this is a major step. I've heard from moms all over the country about how this book has changed and transformed their lives. And so this is a major step for you that you are not only taking the opportunity to read the book, do the workbook, journal, utilize the question cards, but you are taking the extra step of taking the courses, because in the courses you are going to get some more juicy information, some even more ways to grow and expand your mindset, even more ways to change, even more things that you maybe need to look at, take a second look at in your own persona, in your own way of thinking and way of being, that are going to help you to be the woman you want to be. This is all about changing your mindset. This is all about transforming as a woman, as a person, and you are off to a phenomenal start. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen with you. During each of these Brown Mama Mindset courses, we are going to go through a presentation. I'm going to walk and talk you through the chapter. And I'm also going to give you some other information that's not in there, even more lessons that I've learned along the way. Because I always like to remind folks that the Brown Mama Mindset is a book that I wrote healing myself. And so, number one, I want to let you in on what that has looked like in the 4 years since I wrote the Brown Mama Mindset, and in the 13 years since I sat down to actually write the first chapter. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen with you, and we are going to go through this thing. So, time is. Before we even get started, let's just breathe that in. You are the exact you that is supposed to exist at this moment. I really want you to internalize that. I really want you to internalize that there's no other you that's supposed to be here right now. You in all of your glory, beautiful, melanin popping, sometimes destructive, sometimes a little bit crazy, sometimes a little bit backward, maybe. But all of that is you. And it's who is supposed to be here right now. It is the you of right now that is going to make the you of later. And so, all the lessons you're learning, all the experiences you're having, all the thoughts that are twirling and swirling through your mind are developing the you of later. And so, let's internalize that. I always like to remind moms that time is. We feel like because we are on this Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, or excuse me, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday track 24/7 cycle, that time is moving forward. But the reality is it's not. Time is just moving. And you have become a part of the Brown Mamas tribe. That means that you have children. That means that you are leaving a legacy within your children. And whatever God does not finish in you, God will surely finish in your children. So sit in that. Recognize that you are eternal. You will never cease to be, and that your energy is going to move throughout this universe forever. So, time is. Relax in that. You have time. You have enough time. You are enough in this moment. In this moment. All right. Now let's go on and get to it. It is righteous to slow down. It is godly to slow down. It is okay to slow down. Exhaustion is not Exhaustion is not a normal part of life. Exhaustion occurs when we are out of balance. It occurs when we've given too much, when we've said too much, when we've showed up too much, and when we haven't allowed the philosophy that time is to run our lives. And instead, we've allowed the philosophy of I'm running out of time. There's not enough time. What do I do with time to run our lives? So, in order to center us in this moment, I want to center us in some ideas about slowing down. Number one, enjoy and be grateful for who you are today. We just talked about this. Be grateful for who you are today. See and be seen by the people you encounter now. Stop wishing for those people that you think are coming in the future. Because the people that you are seeing now, the people you are experiencing now, the people you are around right now, those are the people that are propelling you. Their energy is the energy that is propelling you. So, whether you are in good or bad relationships right now, recognize that you need to see them for what they are right now in order to learn the lessons and gain the experiences and character that is necessary to move forward, to move into another part of now, the next now. Create a peaceful and serene home to be present in. Are you present at home? It's one thing to be at home, it is another thing altogether to be present at home. One of the things my mother taught me, because she worked a lot, was that it didn't matter, and we moved a lot, it didn't matter where she was. My home was in my mother. It didn't matter what house we were in. It didn't matter whether my mom was working 12-hour shift or whether she was home at lunchtime. My home was always in her. And so I take that forward with me as I raise my own children. Home will not be a place for them. You will be home for them. So, how does their home show up in their life? Is their home present? Is their home able to answer their questions, able to calm their fears, able to kiss their boo boos, able to hug them when they need a hug and love them when they need to be loved? Or is their home just a shell? Create a peaceful and serene home to be present in. This is what it looks like to slow down, to be grateful for you and all of your glory and madness, to see the people that are in front of you right now for what they are, what they have to teach you, what they have to love for you, what love you can bestow upon them, what lessons you can learn with them, not at them, with them. And how can you create a peaceful and serene home to be present in? Now, notice I didn't say clean, I didn't say in the best neighborhood, I didn't say a perfect home. I said a peaceful and serene home to be present in. It is righteous. It is righteous to slow down. And you may be wondering why I'm spending so much time on that, because I know we are rushing through life. And I know even as you are at chapter one of this book, you are likely thinking about chapter two. And I want you to recognize that that's not necessary. I want you to recognize that being present in the here and now, being present in the here and now is what is going to make you the woman you want to be. Because you don't want to miss out on life because you're too busy trying to get a life. You don't get a life, you are a life. So, who are you helping by rushing? Who are you helping by rushing? We're going to watch really quickly a video. Well, look at my face in there. It's hilarious. That screenshot is not great. But we're going to watch a video about rushing, because I think a lot of times as Black women, we have internalized so much around, you know, I'm going to pull up the video and I'm going to talk to you while I'm doing it. We have internalized so much of why we are rushing. And sometimes we don't recognize that the reasons why we are rushing are not really as compelling as we think they are. A lot of times we're rushing thinking that we're accomplishing something that we're actually not accomplishing. So I want us to really demystify that. And really want us to begin to think about the oftentimes misconceptions we have about why we're rushing through life. So I'm going to pull up this video really quick. You know, YouTube makes you watch a bunch of a bunch of advertisements before you can get on. So I'm going to pull up this video. Share my screen with you all. So we're going to watch this video really quickly, and it's going to give us an idea of whether or not our rush is worth it.
In Black families. For just about the same amount of time, she too has leaned in, leaned back, been demoted, been promoted, been laid off, and then brought back on. My cousin, who also dubbed as my childhood beautician, she has also been working for the bank for nearly 2 decades and has done the same thing my aunt and my mother have done. Historically, I don't know that Black women have ever had the opportunity to consider what the opposite of leaning in might look like. And if Sheryl Sandberg had been thinking of us when she told women to lean in, she may have realized that we have been leaning in since the day we stepped foot off of Southern American plantations and out of Northern American kitchens. Black women have been the runners of the American nation. We've been 9 to 5, and since there's been 9 to 5 and to be done, we've been your frat cooks, we've been your customer service reps, we've been your nurses, we've been your child care workers, and everything in between. We have struggled with children in tow and one toe in poverty to grab degrees to help us to lean further in. Hence, our status as the most educated women in America, since we know that according to Census Bureau statistics, there are more Black women on college campuses than any single demographic in America. Absolutely. But despite all this, educational and economic gains for Black women do not equate to thriving Black communities and thriving Black families. In fact, despite Black women gaining college degrees at a higher rate than everybody else, marriage still evades us. While we know that an educated woman is far more likely to go on to marry and sustain a one-way ticket out of poverty, this outcome is just not true for Black women, as America continues its legacy of imprisoning Black men at a higher rate than everybody else. Let's talk about communities. Our communities still lag behind everybody else's in terms of home ownership and economics. And in the one area where you would absolutely expect that Black communities would gain from more Black women being in college, hello, education? Nope, not there either. Black children still continue to lag behind everybody else in standardized tests. Black children still continue to have that achievement gap that gets wider and wider and wider. Black communities are no better off the day a woman graduates from college than they are the day before she goes to college. So what do we do about this? These are facts, not varsity, facts. Maybe Black women should just wait. Maybe we should wait for America to end its legacy of imprisoning Black men at a higher rate than it does everybody else. Maybe we should just wait for America to produce good enough teachers to come. That's definitely a possibility. We could do that. But I think I have a better solution. The only problem is a lot of you might not like it. Black women do not need to lean in. Black women need to lean back. Now, I'll wait for the collective pearl clutch, because I know some of y'all are real tied to y'all jobs up in here. But the reality is, I think we need to consider this option a little bit more. You see, I was a woman after Sheryl Sandberg's own heart. But somebody came along and told me that maybe I should consider taking a more proactive role in my children's lives as well as in the lives of my family. And when she told me that, I kind of wanted to smack her. Because I thought to myself, do you know how hard I worked to get that degree, to get that job, to give up my goals of an endless bank account? But before you do what I did and rewind your mind back to the 40s and 50s and put a black face on the woman you see there barefoot and pregnant, I think we need to consider that woman's advice just a little bit more. You see, when I looked up, when I took that woman's advice and I realized that maybe it was time for me to take a little bit more of a proactive role in my family and in my community, I started to do a journey to do my part. I've seen my sons languishing and struggling in culturally incompetent and ineffective learning environments. I joined the PTA, and 1 year later, I pulled my sons out and I started homeschooling them. That alone was worth my newfound commitment to home, as I realized that now my sons could learn in an environment where they were loved and wanted and not disdained. And they could not only get an education that provided for them to be, capable in corporate America, but now they could get an education that provided for them to navigate the world as Black men. And I looked up again, and I saw my community. It was crumbling. So rather than waiting around to be whisked away on the bus stop, at the bus stop of success, I started rehabbing a vacant lot in my neighborhood. I cleaned up garbage. I raked leaves. I fell in love with gardening. And I just made my community a better place to exist in. And those journalistic skills that I gained in college, those communication expertise that I got, it did not go to waste. I saw the moms that I used to ride the bus with downtown also struggling with mothering with intention and with care. And I started blogging about it. A few years later, that blog morphed into a support group for Black moms that reaches nearly 2,000 mothers every week. We do things. We buy groceries for each other. Y'all gonna make me cry up in here. We buy bus passes for each other. We create community. They do. Those women y'all heard crying, they create community. And we do what we know we need to do for each other. See, the lean back movement, it is not about whisking women back to a time when they were barefoot and pregnant. It is about Black women working alongside Black men to use our collectively brilliant minds to create communities that our children can thrive in. It says in Mark 8:36, "For what shall it profit a man to gain the world?" It says in Mark 8:36, "For what shall it profit a man to gain the world but to forfeit his soul?" Well, America, we lose our souls when we give Black mothers the singular choice of providing for their children or being good stewards of the communities they've been divinely placed in. We lose the soul of warm communities where children can become the problem solvers of their own neighborhoods and just ride their bikes without fear of being shot. Black mothers and fathers lose our souls when we neglect to take up the cross of finding out why the inner God in us bore us into this skin at this time of struggle and strife for Black people in the neighborhoods that we grew up in. The beauty of the lean back movement is that it does not require that a woman negates the full expression of her mind, or that we give up the creative work that we do with our hands. It just asks us to consider relocation. Relocate your abilities so that you can be a good steward of the communities that you've been divinely placed in. And to corporate, judicial, and nonprofit America, I say, you've had your time in the sun. How much more will you require of Black America? How much longer do we need to suckle your children before we can nourish our own? We ask not that you bear our burdens, but we ask that you do not obstruct our paths. And we will throw off our burdens as we run. And to my mamas, to my sisters, to the women who carry me here, I say to you, you can't serve two masters, sis. Choose you this day whom ye shall serve. Either we will continue to support the American systems and corporations who do very little to uplift our communities, or we will begin the work of building new realities for our children and birthing the communities of their dreams. So, in the words of Fat Joe, all I got to say is just lean back, lean back, lean back. Lean back. Come on. I said my niggas don't dance and just go for dancing. Do the rock away. Now lean back, lean back.
I still watch that and get chills. I hope you did too. I just I hate to toot my horn, but it's really good. Um, lean back, lean back. Let's get back into this presentation. But yes, sisters, we need to begin to consider that it is time for us to lean back. And who are we actually helping by rushing through our lives? Who are we helping by leaning in? Are we, in fact, helping our communities? Or are we ignoring our communities when we fail to lean back into them? So let's consider that. How do you know when you are running on life's treadmill? How do you know? I always like to say, we know that we are running on life's treadmill when our lives have all hustle and no flow. You know, when everything in life seems to be by force, it seems to be by some type of strain on your part, and there's absolutely no flow. Now, I'm not saying that life should not be difficult, because life is difficult. It is a journey, it is a task, it is a uphill battle sometimes, and we must force, because as women we are 360 degrees of human beings, which means we possess both subconscious and conscious action and non-action. But when your whole life is all hustle and there's absolutely no flow, that's how you know when it might be time to slow down. That's how you know when it might be time to lean back. So I wanted to go over a little bit, a few of the ways we know when we are operating out of order in terms of the timing of our lives. And the first thing I wrote down was time deficit thinking. Time deficit thinking, the constant thought that you don't have enough time. That can ruin your life because it fails to allow you the opportunity to see what is actually happening in your life. It fails to offer you the opportunity to see, the goodness of your life and the things that are there to teach you a lesson. Sometimes we find ourselves in positions where we are continually repeating the same mistake over and over and over again. And it's not because we're not capable of learning the lesson. Many times it's because we are not capable of being in the moment with the problem, because we constantly feel like we don't have enough. We're running out of time. We're running out of people. We're running out of money. And this deficit thinking is what leads us there, to this treadmill type of life. It affects the quality of your life. There's no fun in your life. You rarely do things that you want to do. That's how you know you're operating on an all hustle, no flow frequency. You don't have anything in your life to enjoy. A lot of people will argue that that is the main purpose of life, is to enjoy life. So if the main purpose of the life is to enjoy life and you don't have anything you do that you enjoy, then you know you're not in balance. An imbalanced life, work, family, or dealing with mental, emotional dysfunction takes up too much space in your life. Mental clutter, or any clutter for that matter. Clutter is a sign that you don't have the ability to make clear decisions because you feel cloudy. My mom, my mom used to say, and my grandmother told my mom, everything has a place. When you're struggling to make things have a place in your life, or a productive place, should I say, many times it's because you're operating in that treadmill frequency. You are running through life, and when you try to slow down long enough to make a decision, all of the thoughts start to just cloud in and everything becomes cloudy and foggy and hazy because it hasn't, your life hasn't had enough time to slow down. So because it hasn't had enough time to slow down, when it does slow down, everything crashes in. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Everything is coming in because it's like, oh, I'm slowing down now. Now I can actually make a decision. But what ends up resulting is, because you haven't had those consistent periods of peace and serenity in your life, is that you end up feeling foggy the first few times you try to do it. Lack of friendships, inability to sustain friendships, perceived lack of time for friendships. You don't have people around you that can support you. You don't have people around you that can just be there for you to have fun with and for you to enjoy a moment with. That's a sign that you're rushing through life because people can't keep up with you. You move too fast. You move too fast. You have too much going on. There's no room for good people. And of course, we're going to go over that. And I can't remember what chapter that is. Let me see. I think it's chapter 13 is insecure. Let me see. It's chapter 11. Chapter 12 is insecure. So we're going to talk about that in chapter 12. Lack of female friendships. Why don't you have them? The next thing is gender neglect. And this is something that I feel like we really need to have a talk about right now in our society, in our community. We are at a time where gender is being redefined. But it's not so much about that as much as it is that Black women in particular have never defined femininity for ourselves. So you need to know that by slowing down, by taking that righteous time to slow down, you are in fact providing a great example for your daughters. When you take the time out to figure out how you want to express your own unique femininity, what is your feminine fingerprint? You're going to go over that, I think, in chapter 7 of the workbook. Defining for yourself, what is your feminine fingerprint? As a woman, what makes you special? Yep, that's in chapter 6. Be pretty. You're going to go over that. What makes you beautiful? Not on the outside, just the shell, but on the inside, what makes you beautiful? What makes you beautiful to your community? What makes you beautiful to your children? Those are questions you should ask people and find out. And then take the time, slow down long enough to take the time to actually appreciate your feminine fingerprint. Love on it, no matter how weird or quirky or different it is, because it's a fingerprint. And as you know about fingerprints, everybody's is different. No one person's is the same. So these are all ways that when we are on that treadmill lifestyle, that treadmill frequency, those are all ways that it manifests itself in our lives. Are you determining your success? Are you determining your success? We talk about that in chapter 1 about how oftentimes as Black women, what happens? We have our first child, our second child, our third child, and then with every child, it's like a gun goes off and we just start running. And the meantime, because we haven't slowed down long enough to define for ourselves what's going to be at the end of the track, or what are going to be the processes and steps and experiences that we go on as we run through the track, we've allowed somebody else to determine it for us. And it isn't until we slow down and begin to really recognize what is happening in our lives that we begin to say, I'm working as a customer service rep, but I don't even like people. I'm an introvert. I don't even like talking to people. This doesn't work for me. Or my best friend likes to go out all the time. I don't like to go out all the time. Or my best friend don't like to go out all the time. And I like to go out. Why are we still best friends? A lot of times the experience of our lives are being determined by people, places, and things that we never gave permission to determine them for us. They were just kind of put on us, and we decided to take it because we didn't know any other way, and we never took the time to slow down long enough. Another question is, are you obsessed with being the ideal candidate? For Black women, this is huge. Sometimes we become obsessed with meeting the goals of other folks, so much so that we put everything we want on the back burner. We don't even stop to ask ourselves if our persona, fits with the ideal candidate, whomever the ideal candidate might be. The ideal candidate might be somebody who's organized, and you don't really like routine. So maybe you need to hire somebody to do that instead of continuing to force yourself to try to fit into that mode. So a lot of times we're not taking the steps to become the people that we want, to get the assistance that we need, because we are obsessed with becoming the ideal candidate. Not even realizing that we don't even fit into that position. And that if we took some steps for ourselves toward our real authentic selves, then we could develop a job description that is more similar to the ideal candidate that is necessary for our lives. One of the things you learn as a numerologist, and of course, as a part of you purchasing this um, Brown Mama Mindset course, you're going to get a numerology reading with me. Um, a huge part of that is that, you know, when you understand your life path, when you understand the path that you are on, you begin to fit your life into your job description. You begin to say, this thing is not for me. I may need to hire somebody to do this, or this thing that my kids want to do, I'm going to support them in it, but it's not a place where I can operate. My sons love to bike ride. I don't like biking. And a few times I forced myself to go, but now I know, you know what, I need to find something else to do when y'all go bike riding, because it's not for me. And it's not that I don't like being active, it's just that that in particular, that thing is not for me. But sometimes we try to force ourselves, not realizing that sometimes the people that are doing it may not even want you there. Because I was slow as hell on a bike trail, and I'm pretty sure they didn't want to wait for me. So I was ruining the experience for them because I was trying to force myself into a box that I don't belong in. It's not for me. So we have to begin to really sit down and take assessment of this ideal candidate we have in our heads. What does that look like for you? I know most young girls, we have a picture in our head of the person we want to be when we grow up. But the problem with that picture is we never adjust it, because we don't recognize that through life we are growing, we are changing, we are supposed to change. So let's go over a couple of ways that this obsession with being the ideal candidate, with the assumed success path, manifests in our life. First of all, obsession with achieving. Everything you do is about meeting goals, 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 goals. Everything is not goals. Some things you just do because you like to do them. Some things you just do because you want to try it out. Everything does not have to be goal oriented. Now, when you find something that you really want to do, something that is like, I want to run a 5K race, then it's okay to set a goal. But if everything you do, if you sit down at your sewing machine and you're like, I got to make 5 blankets because so and so made 5 blankets, or because I just need to make 5 blankets, come on. Everything cannot be goal oriented. Excessive buying and a need to impress. Using purchasing goods as a band aid to cover up lack of quality life experiences. We've all had this experience. Because we don't have nothing else to do in our life, every weekend we at the mall with nowhere new to go. Things do not cover up needs for friends. Things do not cover up needs for quality experiences. Things do not cover up need for nurturing, healing, loving. Things do not cover up needs. They just need you one, they just make you need it more. It's like drinking Kool-Aid when you're thirsty. You drink the sugar, it's like, this tastes good. And then you're thirsty 2 seconds later. Because what your body really wanted was some water, some nourishment. The need to impress. The feeling you are not worthy manifests as a need to impress others in materialistic ways. A lot of times this happens with our sisters who are, you know, obsessed with, who really want to make friends, but they're not able to. So what do? They buy friends. They invite friends out to lunch. I remember I went through that. Anybody who invited me out to lunch, I went. Sometimes I'd end up paying for it because I was insecure and I just really wanted to make friends. And instead of sitting down and thinking about the ways in which, what kind of friends I needed, how I could make friends that actually aligned with my inner needs, you seek to buy and impress people because you're not sure that you're worthy. Performance obsession, very similar to achieving succession, except that you're utilizing accomplishment as a litmus test for your value. You're performing for people as a way to cover up the fact that you have not slowed down long enough to love on yourself, to learn yourself. Work life balance. Your life is full of work, but not full of life. Your life is full of work, but not full of life. And then child neglect. You don't know your kids. You rarely converse with your children and are more concerned with their accomplishments than their well being. You hear this from moms who are like, you got to get an A, you got to get a B. Now, of course, we should encourage our children to live up to what we know they're good at. But if your child is trying their best at math and they get a C, is it really, really worth the mental anguish it's going to bring into your household to continue to harp on that? Learn your children, know what their strengths are, know what their weaknesses are, and help them manage them. But don't neglect their emotions and their need for nurturing because you're so focused on their accomplishments, because you're so focused on making your whole life the ideal candidate, the perfect life, which doesn't really exist. Success is not bad, but success without understanding is not success. It's performance. So what we have to understand is when we had that baby and that gunshot went off, if immediately following that gunshot wasn't some deep internal ability or time to have understanding about who you are as a woman, chances are you have some areas of your life, if not all of your life, where you're just performing, where success really doesn't feel good. It's really just you performing. Having a developed understanding. Well, we forgot to change out these pictures. We forgot. I'm sorry, y'all, because them's not us. Okay. So just put an afro on her. Ignore them other. We'll fix it. Y'all gonna hear me do this sometimes because I'm the type I gotta address it in real time. So you know, we'll get Nana's and Becky. We'll fix that for y'all. We won't have that on the next class. Having a developed understanding means what you do aligns with why you do it. What you do aligns with why you do it. So if you're writing a book about loving on your children and nurturing your children and why it's important to get to know your children, that should also align with your why. I'm doing this because of this specific reason, because I want to teach people through my own learning experiences. If the what you're doing does not align with your why for life, you need to question what you're doing. Your flow doesn't require imbalanced force. Like I said, force is a normal action of life. Everyone takes force at some time, but if the force is trumping your flow, like 70-30, there's a problem. You recognize the solutions exist in you first. You are the mission of your life, mama. In fact, there is no other mission. Everything else is kind of just the veneer of it. But you are the mission of your life. Anything that you do, whether it's a career goal, whether it's a personal goal, whether it's a family goal, whether it's something you're trying to achieve just for the heck of achieving it, whether you're just sitting down at your journal and reading, you are the solutions exist in you first because you are the mission of your life. So you have to go deep into yourself to find the solutions. You have to use your intuition, or as I like to call it, your inner tuition. It's literally telling you what's going to pay off for you. You realize being an alpha woman also means being an assisted woman. When we go deep inside of ourselves, when we slow down long enough to go deep inside of ourselves, the first thing we understand is that we cannot do it all alone. We need others. Dependency is a natural state of being. You need people, people need you, and that's okay. It's okay to ask for help. How do we get there? There's no easy answer to this. You got to stop. You have to stop. Now, there are different ways you can stop, and we're going to go over that right now. There are different ways you can stop. You can do a hard stop, which just means, you know what? None of this is working. I have the luxury that I can stop everything, and I'm just going to stop. If possible, put an end to anything that is causing you immediate stress. So anything that is causing you immediate stress, mental anguish, whatever, if you need to go get on unemployment and you need to take a sabbatical, or you need to get a babysitter right now, anything that's causing you mental immediate stress where you are going over the edge, you need to try to put a stop to it now, because we all know what lives on the other side of extreme stress: depression, heart attacks, strokes, psych wards. You can do a gradual stop. Make a list of things you need to stop. Give yourself a deadline for releasing each activity. You know he don't mean you no good. But you also know that your heart's not going to allow you to take a hard stop. So maybe you release him a little bit at a time. A little bit at a time. Maybe tomorrow you just stop giving him sex. Maybe the next day you take your keys back. Or maybe it's a longer process than that. But you have to do it a little bit at a time. You can do it a little bit at a time. Another way to stop is to take temporary breaks. Create a schedule that allows you to take interval breaks from stressful activities. Wean yourself away from stress. So maybe cooking 7 meals a week is not good for you. So maybe you cook 3 instead. Or maybe there's that person that every time you talk to them, you walk away feeling just stressed out, taken from, depleted. So maybe instead of talking to them every week, you talk to them every 2 weeks. Take temporary breaks from them. And the last way you can stop, which takes the longest, but listen, life has a way of making you quit anything, is to live in the flow. Let things play themselves out. Take neither action nor inaction. Or I mean, take no action at all. Meaning, don't feed the behaviors, don't feed the experiences that are giving you stress, that are not allowing you to slow down, and just let them play themselves out. This takes much longer, but life has a way of teaching. During this time, pray, meditate, and strengthen your intuition. Start to listen to your intuition. Even if you don't take action on it, acknowledge it. Acknowledge when your intuition says he's not here, he's not for you. Because acknowledgement goes a long way. When you just sit in yourself and say, all right, I know that I'm going to go with him, but I also know he's not good for me. I know it. Sit in it, meditate in it, strengthen your intuition. Because sometimes it's not that we don't want to stop, it's that we really can't. Something, spirits can get a hold of you. Spirits can get a hold of you. And sometimes they're in your aura, and it's hard to get them out. And it may take more of a gradual process. You may need to light some incense. You may need to say some prayers. You may need to add some stuff to your altar. You may need to get some sage and start to move and shake up that energy to get it off of you. But you have to find a way to stop, because the bottom line is you have to recognize that it's either you or the thing. Either you're going to deplete your life source, your vitality, or the thing is going to take over. And we all know that once the thing, whatever the thing is, whether the thing is a man, whether the thing is a job, whether the thing is an entrepreneurial obsession, whether the thing is a child, once it takes over, it's not giving up because it's utilizing you to feed off of. Many of us are in parasitic situations where we are literally being used as an incubus or a succubus for an energy, and we don't even realize it. And recognize that in this time, it's not going to be easy. Once you've made the decision that you're going to stop, once you've made the decision that, all right, it's time for me to make some changes, your mind and your body are going to play tricks on you. And here's a few of the ways that your mind is going to play tricks on you. It's going to do a little bit of mind reading, which means obsessing over what other people think about your changes. You're going to start saying to yourself, well, they're going to think I'm this and they're going to think I'm that if I do this. First of all, you don't know what they're thinking. That's first and foremost. Oftentimes, with women, we create these ideas, these fantasies, these adventures in our heads based on what we think other people think. And reality is, you don't have no way of knowing that. You might be thinking that the person thinks that you've decided now that you're going to distance yourself from this person. You never know. That person may have been thinking this relationship been thinking the same thing you was thinking. And or that person may be mad. But are you going to take on their anger? I think not. The next thing we tend to do is a little bit of fortune telling. We try to predict, oftentimes without evidence, the outcome of our changes. So we've decided now to be more disciplined in our interactions with our children. And then our mind will start, oh, what about if I'm too hard on him or her? And what about if this causes them to this to happen in the future? And then this happens and this happens. You don't know that. And parenting is trial and error at the end of the day. And your kids are going to become adults and they're going to understand the same damn thing because they're going to go through the same damn thing. Just recognizing that you don't have a way as a parent of knowing what's going to happen. All you can do is try your best. Try your best to slow down. Try your best to make new decisions. And don't worry about the outcomes. Because honestly, you can't control the outcomes anyway. The next thing that your mind will do to play tricks on you is black and white thinking. It will start to say, well, if you don't have that one friend, you're not going to have nobody. If you can't keep that man, you're never going to be able to keep a man. That's the last job anybody's ever going to hire you for. Perfectionism, or believing that if one thing goes wrong, everything will go wrong. Black and white thinking. And please know that these are all things I have personally experienced. I know you have experienced them. We've all experienced them because these are the regular tricks that your mind will play on you. Dun, 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 dun. You know that song. It's my jam. Your mind is going to play tricks on you. It's always going to play tricks on you. Why? Because the body keeps the score. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Combating resistance. Change cannot occur without resistance. Actually, I think we should go over that first and we'll go back. Feelings are not facts, they are signs. So as soon as you go to try to make these changes to slow down, what you need to know is your mind and your body are going to start to fight you. Literally, your mind is going to be like, oh, don't do that. We can't change that. No, you're going to lose everything if you do that. And then your feelings are going to be like, I feel sad. This is not good. I don't know. This is a new place. Why? Because we as humans are not hardwired for change. We are not hardwired to embrace change. The body sends a signal to you that this is new. This new way of being is unfamiliar territory. And and it starts to physically induce feelings and thoughts of insecurity. Your body is not playing for you, for your team. Your body is playing for whatever team you've shown it how to play for. So if you told your body that every day we get up and we go to work and this is what we do, and you forced your body into submission over a period of time, whether that was 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. You forced your body into submission because at first it didn't want to do it. But you told it we're doing this. So then it said, all right, I'm getting in line. And now that's what it does. So on your first day off of your job, You're gonna be like, I'm being so productive. And it might work the first day, but by day three, you're gonna be sitting on that couch with your robe on and your bonnet. Like, I don't want to do nothing. Why? Because your body is like, this does not work for me. You must convince the body, mind, and emotions that this change is good in order to have lasting change. And sometimes I feel like that's why we can't make change, because we don't realize that we have to convince ourselves. We think that we decide to make the change. We decide, all right, we're going to slow down. We're going to live life a little bit more, in a peaceful way. And we think because we've decided that everything's going to fall in line. No, sirree. Your body is used to chaos. Your body is used to moving. Your body is used to doing what you done forced it to do for the last however many years. So you can't expect it to just be like, we're going to make this overnight change. So, how do you combat resistance? Let's go back. Change cannot occur without resistance. Use your tools. What are your tools? You have a workbook. Oops, my stuff didn't fail. You have a workbook and a journal. Use them. You also have a deck of cards. I don't even know where my deck of cards is. It's here somewhere. Oh, I got one card on the floor. Let me pick it up. I think I took them downstairs. You got a deck of cards. That's what this deck of cards is for. Because this deck of cards is not going to let you let up on yourself. It's going to ask you a question every day that forces you to think about what you are doing. Just how honest, this is a good one. Just how honest are you with being with yourself? This is one I pull out all the time. Whenever I'm like, I'm in the middle of a change and I don't want to do it, then I'm like, because your mind will start to make up stuff. It'll start to say, this isn't good for you. So let's talk about that. Thought tracking. Thought tracking is the first activity in your workbook for chapter 1. Thought tracking is a really great way to make sure you can make lasting change. Because what you want to do is you want to start to build out a timeline for why you can't revert, why you can't make the change. So, first of all, typically situations will trigger us. So, let's go back to you quit your job. You quit your job, you're on this entrepreneurial journey. It comes about day 5, 6, you're sitting on the couch in your robe. Something's going to happen. A situation is going to arrive. Bold and the Beautiful is going to come on. Your girlfriend's going to call you for lunch. Something's going to happen. And next, there's going to be an emotion. So your girlfriend calls you for lunch. Now, you know that you have something you need to get done. And maybe you can have dinner with her, or maybe you can have breakfast another day, but you can't do it today. And then what happens? You start to feel the emotions. Oh, I really want to get out. I really want to do this. I really want to do that. And then the thoughts start to come. The thoughts are the tricky ones because they'll start to give you reasons why this is okay. So the situation happens. Your girlfriend calls you for lunch. Then the emotions come. Oh, I'm going to feel bad if I don't go. The sun is out. I want to feel sunny. And then the thoughts come. Oh, but you could just put that off. You could just do this differently. And then the resulting action is you're in the car and you're leaving the house when you knew you had this report to get done. Or the other way around. Your girlfriend calls you to go to lunch and you know you need a day out. And then the emotion starts to make you feel bad. No, you can't go anywhere. You got to get this done. You got to be the ideal candidate. And then the thoughts start to say, well, last time you tried to do this, it didn't go so well. And then the action is that you're sitting in the house behind the computer when it's 80 degrees outside and you could have spared an hour for lunch. So you have to start to combat that resistance by paying attention to it. The one thing that the body does not want is for you to fight it back. The one thing that your mind does not want is for you to fight it back. So you've got to begin to shine the light of resistance on it. And you have to begin to acknowledge that you are in resistance. And through the acknowledgement, you will get stronger and stronger and stronger each day. You need to recognize that you are a creator. Every thought has weight, shape, color, and form. As a woman thinketh, so she will be. So if you are entering this brown mama mindset journey and you know it is time for you to develop a brown mama mindset journey, you know it is time for you to slow down. You know it is time for you to get to know yourself. You know it is time for you to release some of these negative ideas and stereotypes and assumed success path ideas that you have in your mind. You need to recognize that from this point on, Every thought you think is going to have weight, it's going to have shape, it's going to have color, it's going to have form, and that is why it is real and is pushing things out into the universe. It is literally pushing things out. Actions are happening because of these thoughts. And so you need to recognize that you are a creator and you have the power to change. Because just like every negative thought has weight, shape, color, and form, every positive thought, every thought in alignment, every thought that is a thought that is pushing you towards the woman you want to be also has weight, shape, color, and form. And it can be equally, it can be more powerful than your negative thoughts if you will allow it to be. Remember that growth is the goal, and growth is consistent periods of tension and relaxation. Consistent periods of tension and relaxation are the currency for growth. So there's going to be tension, there's going to be force, but there's also going to be relaxation. There's going to be flow. And you know you're not growing if it's all pain or if it's all relaxation. If every day feels good, you're not growing. But if you have 5 days of feeling good and then 2 days of feeling like, I got to change some things, and then another 5 days of feeling good, and then another 2 days, I got to change some things, you know you're growing. No pain, no gain. Joy and pain are like sunshine and rain. Frankie Beverly and Mays. Stress minimized by relief equals growth. So know that this journey is not going to be easy. But if you take the words in this book, if you do the activities in the workbook, if you pick the question cards and write in the journal, if you come back here and allow me to guide you and help you, you are going to grow. You're going to grow. There's no question about it. I know because this is based on my own damn experiences. You're going to grow. For the next 60 days, focus on you. Really completely embrace that there is no other version of you that is meant to exist other than the you of right now. Get back into that mode. Begin to love on yourself. What does loving on yourself look like? Loving on yourself is just sitting with yourself sometimes. Loving on yourself is having a nice meal and watching a little bit of Netflix or a documentary that might help you learn a little bit more about yourself and the way you think and feel about the world. Loving on yourself is journaling. Loving on yourself is crying. Loving on yourself is just simply spending time with yourself. Not all day, because humans ain't meant to be lonely and sitting up in the room. This shouldn't be something that takes 7 and 8 hours of your day. This should take you 15, 20 minutes a day, max. Max. To just think about yourself. Take some time for you, sis. It's time for you to slow down. All right. I will see you next week when we focus on chapter 2, nourishing your roots. What does that look like? What does it feel like? How do you know when you're doing it right? All of that stuff. I will see you all next time. Peace.